Welcome to Trot Talk, an equestrian conversation with the American Saddlebred Horse Association. I'm your host, Tuffy Owens, and for our podcast, we're exploring the equestrians behind the horses, influencers in the industry, sharing their stories and giving a leg up to our community. Whether you're an amateur or seasoned equestrian, there's always room to grow and improve inside and outside the ring. Take a listen to some noteworthy advice from Jody Swimmer, Smith Lilly and Katie Sturba, Allie DeGray, and Carson Cressley. Thanks for listening. What advice would you give to young riders that are just coming up and maybe entering the dressage world like you did at a later date in life? What advice would you give them as they're just starting their dressage careers?
Well, first of all, and one thing I learned was always hire a trainer that rides better than you. So know their credentials and make sure that they're continuing their education, because those were the mistakes that I made before I met Krista. Get a saddle that fits you properly. Spend the money on a good saddle. Go ahead and do it. And don't wait, because your horse is going to develop under you. You want them to feel comfortable in their tack so that they will want to do what you're asking them to do. But get good instruction. You can save money on the purchase price of your horse getting a saddlebred, but you need help along the way. And I don't care who you are and how well you ride. The young horses will trick you into doing things like they want instead of how you want. And if you're an amateur, you still need help. And so pay for good instruction and get a good saddle that fits you and the horse. Those are my best two pieces of advice. And don't overfeed your saddlebred like a warm blood. They will go metabolic on you in a skinny minute. So, watch how you feed them.
And that's great advice all the way across the board. Had to give some advice to maybe a kid that's thinking about being a horse trainer, or somebody who's kind of starting out their quest to be a horse trainer, what advice would you give to them at this point?
Start with the right barn and the right person that you respect and that's going to teach you how to do things. Maybe not necessarily all the way that you're going to do it in the future, but that is at least going to set you up with a foundation, because it's very easy, I think, to make mistakes training a horse, and I'm not always the most patient person, so I've really had to work on that. That's one of my biggest struggles, and I have to say I think I've gotten much better about it. But, start with somebody that's going to teach you at least a successful way of doing something that you can then move forward and take what you like and what you don't, but learn from somebody that's already successful, because trying to do this, I think, on your own without somebody else's years of experience would potentially not give somebody the most success that they could possibly have.
Well, yeah, and I think it's don't be afraid to not know the answer. Like, ask a question. I don't know of a horse trainer that's not going to answer the phone and a young person calling and asking them a question, trying to do things the right way. They want to share their knowledge. I mean, for the most part. 2
other trainers here for some advice on some problems I've been having, and one of the trainers that I've never worked for but that I admire greatly is Merrill Murray. And I've called him on 2 occasions with different types of questions, and he has been wonderful and called me back to see if what he suggested worked. And if it didn't, he gave me another suggestion. So, it's very easy to be a little uncomfortable thinking you potentially don't have the answer, but I have had very, very, very positive experiences asking other people. Kristen Cater gave me some very good advice.
She's really good at that.
A tough situation I was in with regards to selling a horse, and it was not something that I had ever been in before, and I asked her, and she had great advice. And people are willing to help. You just have to be. It's difficult, I think, for younger people to ask mentors or people they look up to questions. Sometimes it can be a little bit intimidating, but it's better to do that than to not ask and look stupid.
That's a very good point.
And I just want to just to add a point to that, I think that's one of the best things about our saddlebred community that maybe doesn't exist in other breeds quite so much. And I would include the Morgans and the Hackneys with that, is that people are very willing to share knowledge and talk shop. You know,
Absolutely.
if you call a horse trainer, if I've got a sticky situation, I'll call people, or we'll just, sit around at a show, sit around the barn in somebody's tack room and swap stories and talk about tough horses and how we solve problems or ask each other questions. And I think people are very willing to share their knowledge. They're not, closely guarded secrets
You're
out
right,
there.
right.
People are very open in our world.
Advice would you give to young riders that are maybe just starting out, or that are just coming up through the ranks? What advice would you give to the young kids of today?
I can only speak from my own personal experience, and I think that one of my biggest struggles has been being a nervous or timid rider,
Okay.
and having a lack of faith in my ability.
You're not the only one.
No, I cannot be the only one. I promise you, there are still times in the 2019 season when I'd look at Cabo in the warm-up ring and go, I don't know if I can do this. He's amazing, and I'm me. Like, how is this going to go together? Do not waste your time with those ridiculous thoughts.
Nice.
Do not waste a moment doubting yourself, because that's time that you could be spending kicking ass. Doing your best. You want to remember the horse show that Sunday and kick yourself because you were distracted with things that aren't even legitimate?
Yeah.
Or would you rather go, I made some mistakes, but whew.
Yeah.
I mean, I tore it up in there. I did my best.
Leave it all in the show ring, right?
Leave it in the show ring and enjoy every single moment. Don't waste your time with the negativity.
I like that. But I like that we started with the positivity and now we've axed out the negativity. We've gotten both ends of the spectrum. What advice would you give to kids aging out, going off to college? They want to start their career, but they want to kind of like stay attached to it.
Right.
What I mean, you did.
Right. Yeah, I was really lucky, even when I worked in New York City, and that was very challenging because, again, there's no place to ride. I would go, 2 hours on the train up to Jan Lucan's in Ravenna, New York. But I always, fortunately, was able to have a show horse even while I was doing that.
Yeah.
Because I had parents who gave me money. That's how that happened. Because I wouldn't have been able to really do it. But there's so many things. Just being around saddlebred horses is a connector, and we're all such a big family. So Jillian Schaefer, for example, who used to own Harrison Ford, she reached out to me on social media. She's living in Seattle, and she was like, I would love to ride. I was like, oh my gosh, you have to go to Deer Door Stables. They're right there in Oregon, Malala, Oregon. And they will, she's like, will they, let me ride? I was like, we all love our horses so much that
just say the words Harrison Ford and you'll be good.
They will love to have you. And same thing around here. Like one of the writers for Saddle and Bridle is from this town. I was like, come over and ride. I have horses. I have an arena. Like, have at it. So I think that familial atmosphere, no matter where you live, if you have access to a saddlebred facility, which is a real challenge, and that's a problem we need to work on, people will welcome you with open arms, and you can just be around them and trail ride or ride at home, take a riding lesson, keep going to horse shows as your,
show, right? Yes.
Make it your vacation. I mean, I would, be shooting all week in California, and I would go to like the Morgan Medallion in Santa Barbara just so I could smell like shavings and horse sweat and see a tack room.
Well, and you got to go to Santa Barbara, which is
not bad. Yeah, it's not bad.
Thank you all for listening to Trot Talk. We hope you enjoyed the ride. The ASHA is committed to promoting and protecting the American saddlebred horse for a brighter future full of ASB dreams. I'm Tuffy Owens. Keep listening and trot on.